Hey guys, how are you doing this evening? So sorry I'm running behind today. Oh, you just have to love technical difficulties or technology because oh my goodness, it's kind of trying to throw me off my game today. So, but we're not gonna let that bother anything today. We're just gonna get started. So, let's see here. So tonight's topic is on if you've seen any of my posts this week. Let's see here. Sorry. So tonight's topic is yes, happy thriving solo Thursday. So tonight's topic is building unshakable confidence, embracing your worth as a single parent. So I want to welcome you to tonight's live. Um, And I'm Coach Sheree, the single parent life coach, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. So, this session is all about, like I stated, building unshakable confidence, embracing your worth as a single parent. Now, I talked about rejection last week, but I'm also going to talk about how you can build unshakable confidence in a way whereas you can use rejection as your advantage. To your advantage. So I just, I know firsthand how we can balance, how we have to balance everything, as a single parent. And it comes with so many different challenges, responsibilities, overcoming self doubt. And sometimes you feel like, you have to prove yourself or prove your worth to people. But let me remind you, you are already more than enough. Your journey is unique, your strength is unmatched, and your presence in your child's life is invaluable. So, tonight we're going to be diving into practical ways to rebuild confidence, shift our mindsets, and walk in the power of self love and self worth. So, here's what we'll be covering. We may not get through all of it tonight. We may have to do a part two, but hey, we'll get through some of it. So, it's rebuilding self esteem after rejection, um, shifting your mindset from not enough to more than enough, and the third one would be setting boundaries and not settling in relationships, work, and life. And the fourth one would be teaching your children confidence by modeling it yourself. That's a big one. It's a real big one because our children see everything that we do. And last but not least is daily. I'm going to give you daily practices to strengthen your self love and your self acceptance. So, so to start off, we're going to be talking about rebuilding self esteem after rejection. So rejection sometimes can feel personal, like it's an attack, but it's not a reflection of what your self worth should look like to you. It's an experience, not a definition of who you are. Just because someone rejects you doesn't mean that your self worth it should change. It actually should increase because maybe there's something that they are doing um, in their life that you have chosen not to be a part of or not to no longer do in your life. And so when you are not on the same, how can I say it? When you're not on the same level as someone, and that doesn't mean that you're better than them or they're better than you or they're beneath you and you beneath them, not in any way, form or fashion. But sometimes what we don't understand is that we have boundaries and we've gone through things in life and we fought hard to get to this place, or we've decided to change something about ourselves that no longer serves purpose in our life. And so sometimes you can be rejected just because of that, because maybe you're no longer that person and people don't know how to deal with you. So the best thing to do is um, what you want to do is learn how to heal from that to reclaim your confidence. And so here are a couple strategies to overcome rejection. First, you want to reframe rejection. You want to, instead of seeing it as like a failure or a negative light in a negative light, see it as redirection towards something better. You also want to practice self-compassion. Speak to yourself in a way that you would comfort a friend. I actually had to do that earlier today to myself. Replace negative self talk with affirmations like, I am worthy of love and success, or I deserve better. Sometimes it's really just that simple. Sometimes we can be coming out of something, whether that's a relationship, off of a job, or coming out of dealing with rejection from a person that you love. And so, in that, a lot of times, what happens is we ponder on it. And sometimes we allow it to consume us and to take control of our emotions, our happiness, of who we are, and we don't need to do that. And so, when you practice self compassion, you want to make sure that you keep affirming yourself, that you are enough, that you are worthy, that you are, worthy of love and success, that you are a good person, those good things about yourself. And even when those are things that you need to change, you can even say, because sometimes we can reject ourselves. That's one to ponder on. Sometimes we can reject ourselves. We can be our worst self critics, and we don't understand that. If you're rejecting yourself, you are allowing someone else to reject you. You're saying that it's okay to reject me. So you can't get upset when they do it if you're rejecting yourself and you're not um, understanding your self worth, understanding who you are, or giving yourself self compassion. So release the need for external validation. Your value does not, it doesn't decrease just because someone else didn't see it. Someone can't see your value. As long as you can see it, that's what matters. You don't need external validation aside from yourself, especially when you work hard to get to a place where you are now saying rejection is not a failure, but rejection is redirection. But if you're in a place now where rejection looks like failure, or it's hurtful, you don't know how to start your healing process, it's okay to be in that place. Just don't stay there too long. Understand where that comes from. Why did the rejection hurt you so bad? Look at that and take a look at it to see, look at the situation and take a look to see why that hurt you so bad. Why is it something that you believe about yourself? Or is it just that maybe you need to take out the time to have a conversation with the person that you felt rejected by? And so, and sometimes the way you can do that is engage yourself in activities that's going to rebuild your confidence. Try new hobbies, invest in your self care, surround yourself with people who uplift you. I had a friend of mine today ask me, what are you doing for yourself? And in this season, it's kind of challenging to say the least. There are things that I'm still able to do, like take a moment to breathe, or take a walk, or just rest, just relax. And that may not sound exciting, but a lot of times if you're just going, and you're on a routine, you got to recharge. And so those things help me to recharge. And so there's also things like, and you can journal as well. You can write down your self-worth every day. Write something about yourself, 3 things that you love about yourself and the things you've accomplished. And give yourself kudos. Have a little dance party. I know that seems weird, but have a little dance party, whatever that may be. This will shift your focus towards self appreciation. We want everyone else to appreciate us, even our children. But do we appreciate ourselves? And so the takeaway from the strategies that I just gave to overcome rejection, to rebuild your self-esteem after rejection, is rejection doesn't define you. Your resilience does. And so everything that you go through, it makes you resilient, to people, to even yourself. Sometimes it's like, man, how did I overcome that when that almost took me out? So the fact that you're still going and you're still getting up, dusting yourself off, and saying, hey, you know what? I'm back up. Here I go. I'm gonna keep going. And so a lot of times the resilience has a lot to do with how you overcome your situations, how long, you'll stay in that process to overcome your situation. And so the second thing I want to talk about is shifting your mindset from not enough to more than enough. Sometimes we can be in this place in more than just the area of rejection. Sometimes it's in the area of our finances. It's in our area of parenting, or even relationally, dating, someone. And so the confidence starts in the mind. And if you constantly feel like you're lacking, um, you'll operate from that space. Your mindset shapes your reality. And if you believe you're not enough, that's what you'll operate from. That actual space of, and that thought process of not being enough, lacking, failure, never enough, or I'm never going to find anybody that's going to love me for me. Why won't anyone love me? Sometimes we have those things. And so when it comes to being rejected, sometimes it's redirection to something better. You have to change how your mindset is and how you look at rejection. And I've gotten to the place of where, I know it's good for me, but sometimes it's like, okay, now I need to um, deal with the residuals afterwards. Because sometimes we understand and we know, but a lot of times you have to deal with the residuals that comes from that. And so steps to shift your mindset will be identifying the limiting beliefs. What are they? What are those? What negative thoughts do you repeat about yourself? Sometimes it's really, it's not intentional, it's just habitual. And a lot of times when it's habitual, we are so used to saying it so we don't see the damage that we're doing. We don't see what we're speaking life to. So it's something as simple as walking in and walking in the house and you're busy and you're putting this up, putting that up, and your kids are not listening, and you're like, I don't know what else I can do to make y'all listen, to hear me. I know I've said that before. And so I have to try to counteract that and sometimes not say anything because it's just our natural response or just something that maybe we were taught and we responded that way. So those are just things that you want to make sure that you are not saying to yourself those negative thoughts that you do repeat about yourself. I mean, because you are showing that you believe those things about yourself, and sometimes you can't see them as a negative thing. Challenge yourself, with those negative thoughts and prove prove otherwise to yourself. Sorry, I couldn't say that right. Even when you say, okay, well, it doesn't seem like anything I say or I do is getting through to you. Find other ways. Find out what'll work. Have a sit down with your kids and find out what work. Try creative things. They have so many different things now versus when my oldest daughter was growing up. Google it. Google, fun activities with the kids, at different ages, stages, because teenagers sometimes are the hardest. But, if you're like me and you have an adult, sometimes they'll appreciate certain things because they've been out in the world. And so sometimes it takes you doing something creative, doing something different to make them engage more, to get their attention. Because sometimes you just have to get on their level. Just remember, if they're taller now, if they're older now, when they were little, you had to kind of, squat down and get in their face. So now the thing to do is get in their face in that way, but get on their level. Because what you've experienced, they haven't. What you've dealt with, they haven't. It's really just that simple. So you want to use positive affirmations daily. That's another step that you can use. And say things like, I'm more than enough. I'm worthy. I am beautiful. I am kind. I am handsome. If you're a single father, I am loved. Practice gratitude for yourself. Instead of focusing on what's missing, focus on what's already amazing about you. Focus on the things that you currently see that you love about yourself. I had someone ask me years ago, Sheree, name 25 things about yourself that you love. I was struggling when I got to 3. Now I probably can name, I'm sure I can name more than those 25 because I had to get to a place to understand that I had to choose me. And so that's all I'm saying. When it comes to rejection, keep choosing you, practicing gratitude for yourself instead of focusing on what's missing, focusing on what you already have, what's already amazing about you. The fact that you have a roof over your head, the fact that you have lights, water, gas. It may be a struggle sometimes, but even in that, be grateful. And be grateful that you have a vehicle to ride in, even though you might want to, if you're paying a note, you might want to let it go. Or if you're not paying a note, it's giving you problems. And so like every time you turn around, there's a flat tire, there's a mechanical issue, stick with it, go through it. It's going to, like we said earlier, it's going to make you a more resilient person. Visualize your best self. How would the most confident version of yourself walk, talk, make decisions? What would that look like for you? Set a goal, write that down and see, what it would take for you to get to that place. Start acting as if you already are that person. And that may seem fake. That may say, oh, I'm not keeping it real with myself. It's not about being fake. It's about visualizing who you are now, seeing who you are now, visualizing where you want to be, and walking in that as if it's already there. So when it happens, it'll be like a breath of fresh air. You won't feel, like, oh, well, I'm faking it. No, what you're doing is you're speaking it into existence and you're walking in it as if you already have it. So it'll be a no brainer once you do receive it, because you're like, oh, I manifested this. And so many people feel like, oh, well, this is not going to happen. You have to shift your mindset. You have to shift your mindset, because if you look at life from your current situation or your current perspective, your current eye gates, then you'll never reach that goal of being the person that you desire to be. Surround yourself with empowering people, people that are empathetic to your current situation, but people that are going to encourage you to the goal of the person that you want to be, the best version of yourself, and just surround yourself with people who, that remind you of your greatness, not your doubts. Sometimes we can't see it when we're busy in our life. Sometimes we cannot see who we are. Sometimes we can't see the good things about ourselves if we have so many negative things around us. Sometimes it takes you a minute to get out of this place, takes you a minute to recognize these things before you can get out of that mindset. So just remember, take away from, being able to shift your mindset from not enough to more than enough is your confidence grows when you choose to believe in your own worth every single day. You have to choose to believe in your worth. You have to choose to, even if that is saying that, I'm resilient, or if that's saying that I'm enough, believe that. Because the more you believe that, the more you'll see it, and the more words will come, or more things will come that you'll believe about your worth. I'm worthy of love and success. I do deserve to have a six-figure salary. I got enough experience under my belt. Hey, it's for me. It's going to happen. And so, last but not least for tonight, looks like I am going to have to do a part two, because I'm running out of time. Because of course, single parent life doesn't stop. I have one that is in club volleyball, and she has practice tonight at 7:30. So, uh, Central Standard Time, that is, for those of you that are Eastern Standard. So the last but not least area I want to talk about is setting boundaries and not settling in relationships, whether that's family, dating, life, significant other, co-parenting, work, and just life period, because you have a relationship with you too. And when you know your worth and you don't settle, you don't, and even if that settling area is a struggle, um, just continue to keep choosing yourself, and then that peace will follow. You don't just allow anything into your life, or anyone, perhaps. You don't allow anyone to speak to you anyway. You set the boundaries immediately. Even if it's people that you have allowed to get away with things for years, you can begin setting those boundaries. But here's the kicker: if they decide to walk away, if they decide to no longer deal with you, that rejection is redirection for your life. Because then they're giving you conditional love, not unconditional love. Because when you know your worth, you don't settle, you don't allow just anything into your life, your space. Your boundaries are there to protect your peace, your energy. It gives you self-respect. You respect yourself. You keep your standards. I had one of my children, my youngest, say to me, "Mama, you're not saying no business about you." And it was just a situation I was dealing with, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So again, it comes with being that example. It comes with, understanding what your self-worth is, understanding that, hey, I have to keep choosing me. I cannot settle. I have to continue to set those boundaries and protect my peace, my energy, my self-respect, my mind. Because again, the mind is the battlefield for anything to happen. So how do you, ask Coach Sheree, how do I set and maintain these boundaries? Get a clear understanding on what your non-negotiables are. What you're no longer accepting in any relationships. Even on your job, what you're not going to allow people to do. You don't have to be rude about it. Or your personal life, you can send a nice email if you feel like your body language is going to say more. Like sometimes I would speak to supervisors, and my body language, my voice tone, everything would say it. But when I learned to have self-control in that area, I was like, I would tell them something, And they knew, probably from previous interactions, of course, that I meant what I said, but because of the way I said it was the same thing, but it was a different response a different reaction from me, but also a respectable response from them. So I didn't have to, say it in a rude way. I didn't have to be disrespectful. I didn't have to huff and puff or smack my lips or whatever. Anything that was unprofessional, I didn't have to do it. And so I was able to, when I got to those places where, I still felt a certain type of way and wasn't going to be professional, I sent a professional email. And then that gave me time to calm down and be able to be approachable by my supervisor so that I'm able to sit down and have a conversation. And so, again, whatever those non negotiables are that you're no longer accepting in your relationships, work, or personal life, write them down and take a glance at them, pray over them so that you understand that you are no longer going to accept those things. And even if you're already that type of person where I say what's on my mind, I tell people this, that, and other, it's still good to learn an appropriate way to say it. Because we all know when and where and how and who we can say things to and how we can say it to them and when we can say it to them. So, and also this one's a big one for me. Say no without a guilt trip. No is a complete sentence. Stop, over explaining and people pleasing. And, because it's at the expense of your well being. Say no. No means not today. Mm-mm. No means I cannot do that. No means my cup is empty. I have to pour into me. No means I don't have the capacity to handle this. I don't have the capacity to handle you. So stop over explaining and people pleasing. People pleasing is something that I have to get over and still have to work on sometimes, depending on who I'm interacting with and how long it's been since we've interacted. Not wanting to hurt people's feelings, but at the same token, having to choose, you know, you know, again, yes, Lakeisha, no is a complete sentence. Um, yes, no is a complete sentence. Like you don't have to put nothing in front of it. Like no means no. It's exactly what it is. And so let's see here. I wanted to give a few more under the setting boundaries and not settling in relationships, work, and life. So after you get a clear understanding of your negotiables, write them down, pray over them, and what you'll no longer accept. You have to say no without guilt. Don't give yourself a guilt trip. And also enforce those boundaries consistently. 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 I will keep saying that. Anything you do for you, make sure it's consistent. That is a person of integrity, not only just towards people, but even for yourself. Because if you let people cross your boundaries once, they'll try it again. Be firm in your decisions. Ooh, that's a good one. That's one for me too. If you let people cross your boundaries once, they'll try it again and again and again because you leave the door open for them to do it. You teach them on how to treat you. And so you let them know, hey, well, okay, I'm giving you permission to cross my boundary. Nope, not today. Remember, no is a complete sentence. I'm going to take that from you, Lakeisha. Be firm in your decisions. And also respect your own boundaries first. If you don't honor your own limits, others won't either. Real simple. It's real simple. And let go of the fear of losing people. I mentioned that earlier. When you set those clear non-negotiables, you set those clear boundaries, and you're consistently setting those boundaries, you will lose people. Within the last couple of years, I've lost people. And it hurts. It's uncomfortable. It's not a good place to be in. But the right people will respect your boundaries. If someone gets upset because you set limits, that's their issue, not yours. And it's really just that simple. It doesn't help sometimes, though, if you feel, like, oh, I wonder how they're doing. Pray for them. And sometimes that's all you need to do. Pray for them or, wish them good in life. Just not saying call them, not saying text them, not saying reach out to them. That's your choice. That's us on you. Just as long as you're not crossing, you're not uh, going against your boundary, because you don't want to be hypocritical in the boundaries that you set for yourself. Um, Boundaries should teach people how to treat you. When you value yourself, you stop settling for less than you deserve. Again, boundaries teach people how to treat you. When you value yourself, you stop settling for less than you deserve. So I'm gonna have to pause right here. I had two more areas of focus that I wanted to talk about. So we'll continue with part two and we'll revamp this again. And I do apologize that I had um, the late start for today, but always remember this: confidence grows through your consistent actions. Again, consistency is key. When you make self love a daily habit, learning what your self worth is, setting your boundaries, your non negotiables, you naturally teach not only yourself, but your children to do the same. You know, you are worthy of love, care, and respect. And, you know, and it starts with how you treat yourself every single day. It starts with how you handle rejection. It starts with how you deal with um, the residuals after being rejected. You know, you got to be consistent with it in order to know how to deal with it. So until next Thursday, I hope everyone has a good evening. I hope you had a takeaway from today. If you have any questions or just want to reach out, if rejection is a thorn in your side, you know, send me a direct message, send me an email, info@thesingleparentlifecoach.com, or, you know, post on one of my, comment on one of my posts this upcoming week, or and we can have a conversation about it, because it's necessary for you to come out of that place of feeling like rejection, like it's something wrong with you when you're being rejected by someone. So I hope you guys, like I said, have pulled something, have had a takeaway from today's live, and I will see you next week. Have a great evening.